Alright, so we are going to be changing the alternator on the 2007 F-150. This is my grandmother's truck, and she started to get her battery warning light on. So after I changed the battery and saw that the light was still on, easy guess to know that it's probably her alternator that's going out. So the first thing we're going to do is disconnect our air box. Well, actually, before I even get crazy, first thing that we're going to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. And we're going to go ahead and get that disconnected. Looks like it's an 8mm on this terminal. They're usually 10s, but the light's working. Get that disconnected so when we start messing with the power supply on the alternator, nobody's getting messed up. Let's get that flat head back. So again, get that propped up a little bit. Okay. So just gonna wrap that around the towel or napkin. Let's make sure we're all good. So let's get back to that air box. Now the alternator luckily sits right on top, so you don't need a whole lot to really complete this job. So it's a pretty simple design to follow. Now our air box is moved out of the way, so we're also gonna, let's see. So we have our bracket that's holding on top of the alternator. It's going to be 4mm bolts right there, 4 10mm bolts right there. So it looks like that belt's cracking up a little bit, so that'll probably be the next one. Like I was saying before, you don't need a whole lot of tools to complete this job. I could have used the impact or a little drill to do these 10mm parts, but of course you can kind of do it all by hand if you really need to. And you really need a 10mm, 13mm, a 1/2-inch ratchet to release the tensioner, and I'll put those bolts over there. And my last one. So all of those are over there. Okay. Take off the bracket. There's your bracket. That's holding it down, so we'll put it right up there where we can find it. So let's see. Be a lot easier if I got a pair of pliers to disconnect this coolant, but I think I might be able to get around it. I'll pause it for a second so I can get a pair of pliers to disconnect that. Alright, so got that pair of pliers and disconnected that coolant line. Got a little wet right there, but it'll be okay. So next, we're going to disconnect the little power circuits on the back side of the alternator. Should be a little clip in. Okay. So there were two different tabs. So there was a push pin, or a little push clip that disconnected one battery terminal, and another one that was held on by a little 10mm bolt. So we're going to go ahead and put those over there. And now, if we release the tensioner, I can get to the last, to get the belt off the alternator, I can get to the last two 10mm brackets that are right underneath it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so I decided to move that coolant line a little bit farther back. And your tensioner is down here. I kind of had to pull right to release it. And what I did is I connected a little bungee cord on top of the belt so I can keep track of where everything is. So now I have access to those last two 10mm bolts that I need that's holding the bottom end of the alternator. And since the bottom of the alternator is kind of slotted, as you see, here's the new one, so you don't have to completely take them off, you just kind of have to release them just a little bit. I'll put that on later. So let's get these last two. I need to get a longer one. And the majority of the alternators that you get should come with a new 10mm bolt for the power supply on the top. So for these pins at the bottom, you don't have to completely undo them. Like I said, just enough to release that tension off of it. But we're going to reuse those bolts because the new one just fit right into place. So now, oopsie daisy, and there's the old one. And now, so new alternator is going to go right in that spot. So I can place them right on top of those 10mm bolts. Fits right in. We're just going to do everything in reverse. Just going to tighten that back up. Yeah, I saw someone else doing this trick of the bungee cables because I didn't have a diagram for my belt. So if I just keep the tension up on it, put everything back in reverse, I don't have to do a whole lot of complicated work. So now we're going to release that tension again, put that belt right on track.
No, he's good.
Alright, so I got that belt back on. Just pause the video for a second because I need to borrow my hands. So now we're going to go ahead and put the top power supply back on. And like I said, most of the times they come with a new bolt. So I got a new one right here. I'm going to put that push pin back in first. Connect that 10mm bolt on top. Okay. Let's try to get that cover back on it. Okay. And now our bracket goes right back on top of the alternator like that. So yeah, it's not a really hard job to do. And like I said, all the tools I used for this was a 10mm socket. You might need a 10 to 8 millimeter socket for your battery terminals, or sometimes bigger terminals, so like 13. A flathead screwdriver, a couple of bungee cables just in case if you got that laying around, and a pair of pliers to release the clamp on the coolant line. Besides that, you're pretty much through. So we'll go ahead and fast forward to when I tighten those four down. Alright, so we tightened down those 4 millimeter bolts that holds the top bracket to the alternator. Let's go ahead and put our coolant line back. That pair of pliers to get that tension on there. Got a little wet the first time, so hopefully do a little better job going back. Yeah, it's gonna lose a little bit of coolant, but it's okay. Shorter. Get there eventually. There we go. Alright. It's nice and tight back on there. Now we're gonna go ahead and reconnect our air filter box. Like we did previously. Looks like everything's connected back. Should fit right back on there. Yep. It's all nice and tight. There. Nice and tight there. Let's reconnect our negative battery terminal. I had wrapped up in a napkin. So that one's was a 8 millimeter. They're normally only 10s, but it's a smaller terminal. Sure to get it down real nice. Tighten that. Alright. Should be good to start. Alright guys, so that is it. So we got the alternator in running now, so it's charging up this battery. And everything looks pretty good. That's the new one in there. Already boxed up the old one, so not too bad. So about a less than 30-minute process, or really fast if you know what you need. But yeah. So like and subscribe. I'm gonna put some more videos up like this. But if you ever wonder how to change an alternator on a 07 F-150, watch this video. Stick around for the next one, guys.